Hey guys, MewGar Master here. As you can see, my real face, the background, everything's real. I got new software so I can do more tricks and everything. I'm trying out different video formats, see what you guys like. So I hope you guys like it. Comment saying if you like old formats where I just do kind of like the slideshow kind of thing, or if you like this. You know, this is all about you guys. Hope you guys are liking it. Hope you guys like all the videos so far. So yeah, you know, subscribe, comment, like. Now let's get on to the important thing, which is Pokemon, because you guys all love that. So next week is U.S. Nationals. I don't know if all you guys are going to be attending that, but I know a lot of people are excited about it. A lot of people are trying to prepare, figuring out what to play, everything like that. But this weekend was Canadian Nationals, which this was the first major event with the new hardball system format. So this is kind of an indicator of U.S. Nationals, not completely, because there's a few different things between Canada and U.S. that I'll explain. But I'm going to try to review like what happened at Canadian Nationals and what you should expect at U.S. Nationals based off that, because some interesting stuff happened, and it'll probably change what you guys think of the format. Let's look at what won in each division, and came second. In Juniors division, Yanmega Donphan won, with Donchamp coming in second. In Seniors division, Yanmega Jirachi won, with Reshibor coming in second. And in Masters division, Zekrom Rush won, followed by Yanmega Jirachi. Yes, I know you're all thinking that, you know, oh my god, Zekrom won, like, that's such a bad deck. Canada must be a bunch of noobs. And many of us are talented, we have a lot of good players, so don't hate on us. According to what I know, the player playing the Zekrom Rush was a really good player, and he was playing a really good list that didn't just straight up lose to cards like Dawn Fan and everything, and it must have been, because there were decks out there, there were all these good decks. There was Reshibor, there was Magnus Boar, there was all the major decks that you would think of, plus all these different decks that haven't come out and people haven't noticed yet. I'll explain about those later. But, you know, congratulations to all the winners. Like, Kingdra decks, Kingdra Yanmega variants seem to do well. They came top 2 in each division. So, that's one deck I'd watch out for. Let's talk about the top 16 Masters now, and what happened there. Looking at top 16 Masters, you guys see a bit more of what we compare normal results with the normal decks that everyone was thinking was going to do well. There was 5 decks including Magnezone, 2 with Embor variants, which it was a bit underperforming, like Reshibor or Magnabor, whatever the variant was. Top 4 in seniors, top 8 in seniors too, but Masters it kind of underperformed. What was the number 1 card performing though? Why in divisions was Yanmega actually, Yanmega Prime, which it seems to be really good in this format. I mean, Yanmega Prime on turn 2 being able to do 70 or 40 snipe is really good. 40 snipe kills babies like Cleffa, which is probably one of the biggest starter Pokemon in every deck now. And just 70 for free turn 2 is really good. I mean, it only works if you have the body on, which is if you have the same amount of cards hand as your opponent, all your attacks are 0 cost. So it worked with a lot of cards like that. Like if you went turn 2, get a Yanmega Prime out, and then judge them, that was just brutal. They would have a bad setup. You already have something that would be doing a lot of damage. And it was easy just to keep your hand on the same side as them. There was a lot of cards like Magnezone, which could draw you cards, Junkrom, which could get rid of cards, and you can just burn cards if you really need to. So Magnezone was a bit underperforming, even though there was the Yanmega Magnezone decks, which those were really good. I have to give props to Sebastian Crema, Julian Wong, who both top 8 with them. Those are more of the mainstream decks, but there's one deck which I really thought was cool, and which came top 8 in some situations. I think it was top 16 result 2, which was really interesting deck. I don't think it's many people heard of it, or maybe it's kind of a SD to some people, but this deck was Mew Prime, Muck, Jumpluff, Vileplume, and Yanmega Prime. And yes, like everyone's like, what the hell is this garbage? They're like 5 different main Pokemon deck, like how is that going to work, especially when all these Yanmega Judge decks are going around. Well, the main thing is, this deck doesn't run the basics for Muck or Jumpluff. You just use Mew Prime's ability to put them in the Lost Zone, so you can reuse the attacks. Yanmega, you use the evolution line, so you kind of beat stick against decks like Donchamp. And then Vileplume was just Trainer Lock. I mean, Trainer Lock is really good in this format against some decks, and if you give it up turn 2, it was crucial. I mean, that would turn off revert missiles, communications, rare candies, a lot of stuff. It's just good cards. You switch. So if you use Mew to bring up an active Pokemon with Muck's power, then it would just they can't use trainers, they have to manually retreat. And like bringing up a Magnezone or bringing up an Emboar was crucial, and it's a really good thing. Like this deck I found was like insane. Like we heard about it and it seemed like it was a really good deck. It did really well. I mean, it did lose in top 16. I think it made a top 8 appearance. But you know, that's a new deck, not really heard of. You guys might want to test that out, or at least test against it, because I think people are going to be wanting to play interesting with decks like that at U.S. Nationals. Like I said before, Canadian Nationals is going to be important when it comes to the U.S. Nationals, because people are going to look at the results here, and they're going to tweak their decks, or completely change their decks if they find something they like that. I don't even know what the deck's name is. We should probably figure that out. I'll think of that some other time. But, you know, people are going to be thinking of decks. I mean, Yanmega Magnezone was not really known deck. The Mew Trick deck wasn't really known. And, yeah, like other decks like Magnabor, which everyone thought was just going to dominate the format completely, they underperformed. I mean, they did get top 4 performances, but, you know, that's not what people expected. People thought, you know, majority top 8 was going to be it, and it was just going to define the format, and it didn't. Let's talk about some of the cards now that I think were really good, and that are probably going to show up at U.S. Nationals based on the performance here. What cards are going to show up at U.S. Nationals because they're trying to beat cards that people thought they could here. The first card I want to talk about is Magnezone Prime. Now, Magnezone Prime has been overhyped, and everyone was thinking it's good. Well, that's because it is. I mean, it's worth $50 right now for a reason. It's a really good card. It's a good draw engine, it's a good attacker. It's just insane. Any deck that could play it should play it, or just should add it because it's really good. I mean, Yanmega decks just play Magnezone because they drew them some cards so they could equalize the hand, and because you wouldn't be using any energies on Yanmega, so you would attach to Magnezone, and then late game you just have like something that could do like as much damage as energies on top, because you would just be putting energies on it the entire game. It wasn't as good in like the Magnabor decks, but it was still okay. It's still a good draw card. But I guess Magnabor just wasn't the best shell because people were expecting that, and people really tried to beat it. So I would still play it in most decks. Like any 6 deck that can, so you just play a 1/0/1 of it at least, because you add some rainbow energies, you have a draw engine and a late game attacker that blows out a lot of Pokemon. The next card I want to talk about is probably the MVP of the entire tournament, Yanmega Prime. Yanmega Prime wasn't really thought to be a standalone strategy beforehand, but paired up with Magnezone Prime, it really did good at Canadian Nationals. You go most of the time Yanmega Prime turn 2, then judge your opponent, leaving them with a 4-card hand, and you already had a main attacker. Well, at best situation they'd have like Cluckos, so they could have a turn 2 to recover. Paired up with Magnezone Prime, which you would just keep on your bench, attaching energies to, for late game where you could just have so many energies on it that you would take your last 2 prizes no matter what their Pokemon was, and the fact that it's a good draw engine to keep your hand at whatever size you want it to be, so Yanmega attacks are free. It was a really good deck. I feel like Yanmega Prime worked well with other decks like Kingdra that it did well in, and I think it's just a good card overall, and people are going to be trying to play decks with it at U.S. Nationals, especially with Judge, so you want to make sure that your deck doesn't just lose if they judge you. Another card I want to talk about is one that didn't do as well as Canadian Nationals, but I think it's going to be better at U.S. Nationals because of some of the cards that did good at Canadian Nationals. This card is Zoroark. Zoroark's a good card in the sense that it one-shots a lot of Pokemon using its attack, which copies other Pokemon's attack. It kills Magnezone Prime, Zekrom, Deoxys Refugio Legend, and Cincino. And there's other ones, but those are more the main attackers that you're going to see more of. It's really good because being able to one-shot things back is just good in this format, especially if your deck plays DCE, where it can kind of come out of nowhere. When you evolve it, but still, you just go from having a Zoru, and then evolve to Zoroark, and DCE, and they probably didn't see it coming, really. I think it'll be good at just countering a lot of things, and it'll kind of work as a promo code, in a sense, except against more cards. The last card, or cards, that I want to talk about is Muck and Bioplume. This I'll play in the Mew toolbox deck that performed decent at Canadian Nationals. These 2 cards seem to be really effective against a lot of really good cards in the format right now. It's good against Emboar, which might see less play because of its not so good turnout at Canadian Nationals, but it's still good at bringing up things like Magnezone, Ninetales, or any other kind of backup Pokemon that's supporting for any other reason. I mean, the ability to be able to bring up a Pokemon, confuse it, and poison it is really good by itself, and then having Bioplume so that they're trainable, so they can't switch, let alone use any other good trainers like reversals or communication to set up. Just as a really powerful effect. Like, even if you're bringing up their main attacker Pokemon, making it confuse and poison is really bad, because they're going to want to switch out because they don't want to have to be going through confusion flips and taking poison damage. I think it's going to be a really good combo card, probably also with Mew, but it could be played without Mew if you really wanted to. overall, I think Canadian Nationals is really interesting. I mean, it doesn't have all the major decks that everyone's going to think of, but Canadians usually do play more rogue decks. I mean, we're not all just playing rando decks, but we do like to play the decks that beat the format more often than usual. Like last year, where the top 4 for the Masters was like 3 Gardevoirs and Kurskar. Yeah, I guess we won that one. But anyway, I think that U.S. National is going to be really interesting this week. And I hope you guys look at Canadian National results and hope to find some decks that might beat the decks that you think are going to beat, or just something completely new and different, like the Mew Toolbox deck. Anyway, good luck at U.S. Nationals. Have fun, of course, and see you next time.